Hi everyone! So we're going to be reading the next 3 chapters of Llama Out Loud today. So that'll be chapter 10, 11 and 12, I think. So if you haven't seen chapters 1 to 9, then go back and watch those videos first. But we'll get started. Chapter 10, A Load of Rubbish. Yasmin Shah, you are in big trouble! A voice came booming from the school gate at the end of the day. Although there was a crowd of parents blocking her view, Yasmin recognised that voice instantly. She had spent the day checking her school bag every 10 seconds to make sure that Levi hadn't materialised out of nowhere. But it seemed like her first ever mission in action had worked. Levi had disappeared, hopefully into a big pile of rubbish somewhere. So why was she in trouble? The school didn't ring parents about lunchtime detentions. It must have been something else, something worse. As Yasmin walked towards the school gate, she could feel the eyes of every parent in the playground on her. They knew just as well as she did that Yasmin was in for a long rant. Ami's rants were famous throughout the neighbourhood. But unusually, there was no rant. For the whole journey back to 11 Fish Lane, Ami refused to tell Yasmin what she had done wrong. She marched angrily ahead, occasionally turning round to shout, "Hurry up!" before turning back and storming onwards. It actually sent shivers up Yasmin's spine to think of what might have rendered Ami almost speechless. On they went, past the butcher's, past the corner shop and around the corner. Ami stomped so loudly Yasmin was sure that the cobbled streets of Brick Lane would crack under her feet. Mean Mrs. Robinson from number 42, carrying a pint of semi-skimmed milk, caught Yasmin's eye and gave her a look that seemed to say, "I know what you've done." Yasmin racked her brain. What on earth was wrong? When she'd left for school this morning, her bedroom had been immaculate. She'd even washed up her cereal bowl from breakfast. But as soon as she saw her tall, thin house at the end of the road, her stomach sank. Something was not right. From the iron gate leading up to the front door was a long trail of rubbish. Counting each mucky item was like reading a weird shopping list. Milk cartons, orange peels, mouldy tea bags, yoghurt pots, a doll's arm, half a painting of a dog, a tent pole. Countless stinky items wound their way from the front gate into the house and up the stairs, like a path leading to something. Yasmin scratched her head. Had her brothers pulled a prank that had gone wrong? Had someone broken into their house and randomly sprayed rubbish everywhere? Ami stopped at the bottom of the stairs. "Papa, your daughter is here!" Now Yasmin was really confused. Sometimes when Ami was too angry to speak, she would get Papa to do it for her. That was usually for the best, because an angry Ami could trigger a volcanic eruption. But why was Ami angry with her that the house was a mess? A thought suddenly popped into Yasmin's head. She quickly shook it away. No, he's gone. He must be. Papa poked his head out of the kitchen. He beckoned Yasmin to follow him. With her head full of questions, she followed him in a daze. They walked up 2 flights of stairs, trying not to slip on the crisp packets and newspapers strewn around. When they got to her parents' room, Auntie Bibi and Auntie Gigi were waiting for them, towering over Papa, who was sitting on the edge of the bed. He patted beside him for Yasmin to sit, and the aunties simultaneously raised their eyebrows at Yasmin. It was a look that said, "You're in for it now." "I am a simple man, Yasmin. I do not ask for much from you," Papa sighed in what must have been the understatement of the century. "I only wish for the respect and obedience of my youngest child, but this has gone too far." Yasmin's mouth dropped open. They thought that she had done this. She shook her head frantically and got out her notepad to write a message. "We know it was you, Yasmin," Papa explained. "The trail leads all the way to your bedroom, and Ami said she saw you out by the rubbish truck this morning." Yasmin let out a sigh of desperation. So much for being a secret agent. But she hadn't made the mess. She wanted to defend herself, but how could she explain any of it? "Perhaps she is becoming a teenager already. Perhaps this is a rebellious phase," Auntie Bibi said to Papa, as if Yasmin wasn't even there. "It's true, brother. She has been acting strangely recently," Auntie Gigi agreed. Yasmin screwed up her fists. The aunties were making things worse. Papa looked even more disappointed. A rebellious teenager. This may be hard to believe, Yasmin, but I have not always been such a shining example of respectability. I too went through a naughty phase as a child. Your auntie said we should forbid you from playing checkers as punishment, but I want to give you another chance. I was able to turn my behaviour around, and you will too, starting with cleaning the entire house top to bottom. Yasmin felt like crying. She didn't need to turn her behaviour around. She was a good daughter. But trying to argue with her parents, especially when the aunties were egging them on, would simply make matters worse. Dejected, she nodded and kissed Papa on the cheek. He grunted and patted her on the head. As much as he tried to be the man of the house, even Papa couldn't stay angry after a kiss. Yasmin didn't even look at her aunties or Amy in the eye. She simply turned and trudged up the stairs, wondering how her life had taken such a turn for the worse in a matter of days. As she marched through her brother's room, they started clapping. "Well done, Yasmin, your first prank," tall brother said admiringly. Short brother laughed. "You're becoming just like us. I'm almost proud." Yasmin ignored them. She had a pretty good idea who was behind this, although she desperately hoped it wasn't true. A sinking feeling washed over her as she took the stairs up to her room. With each step, her stomach dropped further until she felt quite sick with worry. She took a deep breath and threw her bedroom door open. And there, sitting on her bed, was Levi. Chapter 11. The Comeback Llama. All the confusion and worry that Yasmin had felt suddenly turned into rage. She picked up the nearest object, which happened to be a toy truck, and hurled it at Levi. It missed. Levi put his book down and lowered his glasses. "Ah, Yasmin," he said. "I didn't see you there." Yasmin grabbed the next truck. "There's no need for that," Levi announced. "I can see you're angry. Let me explain." Yasmin wasn't angry. She was livid. How had this stupid thing found its way back to her? He should be on top of a rubbish tip right now. She picked up the small plastic bin in her room, tipped out the contents and pointed it at Levi. "First of all, put that thing down, 'cause I ain't getting in it," Levi said. "I'm the one angry with you. You plunked me in the rubbish, so I taught you a lesson in return." Yasmin furiously started picking up all the bits of rubbish lying around and hurling them at Levi, one by one. First a soggy bread roll, then a ketchup-covered apple, followed by anything else she could find. "Calm down!" Levi yelped, dodging a flying half-eaten biscuit. "Your aim is terrible!" Yasmin stopped chucking the rubbish at him and caught her breath. "Don't you even want to know how I got back?" Levi sounded almost excited to share this with her. "As soon as I was taken out of that truck and was shoved in that rubbish pile, I planned my escape." Frustrated, Yasmin flopped down on the floor. She had been outsmarted by a toy who had stuffing where his brain should be. "You see, I got connections," Levi said. "There's a rat in the rubbish tip that owed me a favour." Yasmin furrowed her brow. Was he kidding? "Let's just say I saved his marriage. Managed to sort him out a nice hunk of cheese for his wife's birthday." Ew. Yasmin did not need the rat visuals. "Anyway, he sorted an escape route round the back of the tip where they park the trucks. He told me when the next truck was leaving, so I just hopped on and rode it back here to your house. Brought a few presents with me and all." He winked at the piles of rubbish. Yasmin wrote on her chalkboard, "Not cool." "Well, listen up and take notice. You can't get rid of me," Levi continued more seriously. "As hard as you..." Oof! Yasmin had lunged forward and grabbed Levi. She had really run out of patience. It was going to take her hours to clear up this mess, and it wasn't even her fault. She didn't want her parents to be angry with her. She wanted them to believe her. She wasn't naughty. Yasmin suddenly realised she was gripping Levi rather too tightly. She narrowed her eyes at him. Levi gulped. Uh-oh. There was no point wallowing. Yasmin needed to be proactive. She would make the house cleaner than ever before, prove that she wasn't turning into a moody teenager. But first, Yasmin rushed down the stairs with Levi still in her fist and peered into Auntie Gigi and Auntie Bibi's room. They were both at the salon having their yearly toenail clipping. She knew the perfect place to put Levi for punishment. In her auntie's wardrobe was a drawer where they shoved all their old underwear. They never threw anything away, so the pants just stayed there in the dark, getting mouldier and mustier by the day. Yasmin opened the deep drawer in Auntie Bibi's wardrobe and shoved Levi far down inside, underneath all the enormous old pants. "No!" he yelled. She slammed it shut. Now she couldn't hear his yells at all, as they were muffled by multiple pairs of parachute-sized knickers and huge bras. She smirked. That would teach him a lesson. And since Levi didn't come alive in front of anyone else, it would keep him quiet for a while too. After what felt like a lifetime, Yasmin finally cleared up Levi's mess. She even scrubbed the floors and polished the stairs so that they were as shiny as a penny. Auntie Gigi was so impressed she gave Yasmin a lolly to say well done. Her parents gave her a nod of approval. Wearily, Yasmin climbed up the 4 flights of stairs to her room and got straight into bed. She had never been this exhausted in her entire life. At least in here she was by herself, the only sanctuary of peace she had in her life. No way was Levi ever going to share it with her. No way. If Levi wouldn't leave by himself, then she would make him. She lay in bed, her tired mind busy with the events of the last couple of days. It was all making her brain feel very muddled. She was on thin ice with her parents, and who knew what Levi planned next? The thought made Yasmin squirm under the covers. She sighed. Perhaps she needed to confront Levi. What did he really want from her? To clear her head, Yasmin used the trick that always helped her get to sleep. She closed her eyes and imagined herself at the Elderly People's Day Centre, sitting at the checkers table, making the winning move and being handed the championship trophy. Everyone would be clapping, and her parents would be so proud. The trophy would have her name carved at the bottom on a plaque, and she could bring it to school for show and tell. Well, maybe just the show part. Yasmin smiled to herself at this thought and fell asleep. Chapter 12. The Best Worst Day of the Week. It was a beautiful sunny morning and a Friday. This was the best day of the week, and not just because the teachers were always in a better mood. On Friday afternoons, Yasmin went to the Elderly People's Day Centre to play checkers. On this particular Friday, Yasmin awoke to the sound of what was either a cat exploding after it had eaten some bagpipes or Auntie Bibi screaming. Something told her that Levi might have found his way out of the knicker drawer. Oops. She quickly jumped out of bed and put on her dressing gown. If she was just sensible and remained calm, maybe Ami and Papa would be calm too. But as she walked down the stairs into her brother's room, remaining calm wasn't really an option. Instead, Yasmin burst out laughing. Tall brother was staggering around the room with one of Auntie Bibi's humongous pink bras strapped over his eyes. They bulged out strangely, making him look like a human-sized fly. Short brother had a black lacy bra strapped over his head, covering his ears and making him look like a monkey, if monkeys had ears made of bras. "You'll pay for this," short brother cursed as he tried in vain to remove his black lacy monkey ears. On top of her brother's TV, Yasmin saw 2 fluffy ears appear, followed by Levi's head. "What do you think?" he snorted. "I caught them in the middle of the night setting up a prank outside your room, so thought I'd turn the tables on 'em, the rotters." As long as this was the extent of his antics, Yasmin could forgive Levi. She might even thank him eventually for giving her brothers a taste of their own medicine. Levi hopped from the TV to the bed and up into the pocket of Yasmin's dressing gown, right under her brother's noses. "Wait till you see what I did in your auntie's room. You're going to laugh your pants off." Uh-oh. Yasmin hurried down the stairs to their room, bracing herself for whatever that fleabag Levi had got up to in the night. As she entered the room, both of her aunties were sitting on the bed shaking their heads. Ami and Papa both looked at Yasmin sternly, neither one saying a word. Instead, Ami pointed at the mirror where Auntie Gigi did her makeup every morning. There, in her best red lipstick, a shade called Cherry Explosion, was written in big letters, "Auntie Bibi smells of wee-wee. Auntie Gigi smells too." How childish! Yasmin grabbed her pocket and squeezed Levi tight. "Ouch!" he wheezed. Why aren't you laughing? I thought it was well funny. He wasn't even sorry. Yasmin fetched a notepad and pen from the nightstand and hurriedly scribbled, I didn't write that. I was asleep in my room all night. Auntie Gigi cocked an eyebrow. So who was it then? Yasmin's eyes shifted from side to side. What was she supposed to say? It was the magical toy llama in her pocket. And it wasn't your brothers there either, Ami cut in. Who is it that puts my lipstick on for me in the mornings, I don't think your brothers even know what a lipstick looks like, Auntie Gigi fumed. It was true. Yasmin did have to apply her auntie's lipstick for her. Auntie Gigi refused to wear glasses since they didn't go with her style. Yasmin was the only other person who knew where the lipsticks were kept. You're in big trouble, Auntie Gigi continued. That was my best lipstick, and now it's ruined. To make matters worse, they've stopped making that one. Where am I supposed to get my cherry explosion now? It's just a cherry explosion all over the mirror. Papa pitched in. I thought I made myself clear, Yasmin. You've let me down. You have let us all down, Ami added. Hang on a minute, Levi piped up from inside her pocket. This wasn't your fault. Just write him a note and explain. Yasmin shot him a hard look. Explain what? Sorry, Yasmin. I was just trying to back you up. The aunties were well annoying yesterday, getting your dad all worked up like that. Levi hung his head. Yasmin shoved him down further inside her pocket. There were too many voices in the room. She must learn her manners, and there's only one person who can teach her proper manners, Auntie Bibi warned. This was bad. Yasmin knew who she was talking about. The strictest lady in the whole world, her grandma Dadi. I will be the judge of, Papa began, puffing out his chest. Bibi is right, little brother, Auntie Gigi chimed in. Mum will be a good influence on Yasmin. She should go and stay with her in Pakistan for the summer. Come on, girl, you're going to let them punish you for nothing? Levi scrabbled up from the depths of the pocket. Stand up for yourself. You deserve to be heard. This was really, really bad. Sent away to Pakistan for the summer. She would lose her own room, her Fridays at the Elderly People's Day Centre, and miss the checkers tournament final. Yasmin pleaded silently with Ami. Ami was the only one who could save her now. As the head of this household, I will be the one to decide how Yasmin is punished. Papa was wagging a finger at his two older sisters. To send Yasmin to Pakistan will cost money, and we haven't prepared for that. However, all children should learn the importance of obedience and good manners. And another thing. Enough! Ami bellowed. The whole room fell silent. It was clear to all who was the head of this household. Ami put her hands on her hips. Yasmin's usually good. She moved closer. So she has one more chance. And we will leave it there. So come back next time, so next Monday, to hear chapters 13, 14 and 15. I hope that you enjoyed those few chapters, and we will see what happens to Yasmin next. Oh,